some vanilla on top, and then immediately rye. Welcome to Whisky.com, where fine spirits meet. My name is Lüning, Horst Lüning. I'm the master taster of Whisky.com, and today we have the best whiskey of the year 2016 here on my cask. Really? I don't know. Jim Murray, with his Whiskey Bible, gives a best of rank every year, and this Canadian rye whiskey received this honor in 2016, and I tasted a few of the best of the year of Jim Murray, and typically they are good whiskies, but our sense of the best differs a lot, and I typically find whiskies which taste, from my personal point of view, a lot better than that one. And I would never say this one is the best whiskey of 2016. I would always say this is my best whiskey, or one of my best whiskeys in 2016. So these superlatives is not my thing. No, not at all. The whiskey comes in a full liter bottle at 45% ABV, and there's this typical sack with the curtain ribbon on top. This time it's sand-colored, light sand-colored. And the box, they say Northern Harvest Rye, 90% rye whiskey, and the rest is grain whiskey, so it's a blended whiskey. Crown Royal Northern Harvest Rye is a unique whiskey blend crafted from 90% rye mash whiskey. Our Canadian rye grain is planted in the fall, sprouting until it's covered by a blanket of soft winter snow. Once this snow melts, our rye completes its growth, maturing over the spring and summer. This distinctive growth cycle creates the perfect grain for deliciously balanced whiskey, extraordinarily smooth, with hints of fruit, cloves, and spice. There are ongoing experiments in Scotland as well, where they have special barley which matures and finishes over the short summer in the northern part of Great Britain. And this winter rye is also adapted to the special climate of Canada, but typically the Canadian rye whiskies are very intense, very bitter, very spicy, and they are used for adding the spiciness, for adding character to the typical grain whiskies from maize or from corn, maize or wheat. And they add the rye whiskey in smaller percentages, 10-15%, to add this special flavor, as the Scottish whiskey producers use malt whiskies to add flavor to the blended whiskies, where most of it is grain. So this is the story behind this whiskey, and now let's have a look. Is there more? There's the Imperial Crown of Elizabeth II of the Empire. Screw cap. And quite a heavy, full bottle. It's thicker than others, so this whiskey appears darker. So they get the volume out of an additional thickness, so it appears darker because the light has to travel through a thicker whiskey layer. Some vanilla on top, and then immediately rye, and a strong, hefty rye, and very light oakiness in the back. I tasted this whiskey just a few minutes ago, and the very first impression is very intense, very sharp, very unusual. So the spiciness, like, well, Christmas cake spices, coming up, probably those written cloves in it. And the rye and the oak, well, it changes between that. It's quite complex, and sorry, everything is carried by a strong alcoholic note. Yeah, 45% is the maximum this whiskey should have, because it's so tasteable, smellable. Burner, a full burner. The rye kicks in extremely from the tip of my tongue to the back. Everything is burning. Then it vanishes quite fast. Now it's smooth, creamy. A little fruitiness shows through. And the inside of my mouth is covered by, well, by oak, by rye, by something stronger, whatever that is. Vanilla. So the color of the whiskey might come from the fresh casks, burnt casks. So the vanilla is quite strong in this whiskey. It's so unbalanced. It's quite interesting, welcoming in the nose, but showing already there's more to come, and then sharpness, pepper, this intense rye notes, and then vanishing, and then smooth and creamy. So for me, this whiskey is not the best whiskey of the year 2016, by far not. It's so unbalanced, it's so dominant in the taste. The Crown Royal XR had been quite different, and it was much more balanced, more elegant, and this is a rough representative of Canadian whiskey. It's a close to pure rye whiskey, and this is, well, something special. And if you like Canadian whiskey, this is not what you're looking for. This is something completely different. Yeah. This whiskey is quite difficult to get here on the continent, in Central Europe, and with the predicate of the best whiskey of the year 2016 in the Whiskey Bible, this whiskey will be very, very rare in a very short time, and the wholesale dealers will increase the price. So whenever you have the chance to get one of these bottles, it's a clear buy. Even if you're not interested in, you can sell it for a lot more in the upcoming month, when the news spread about this whiskey. For me, the Crown Royal XR is the best Canadian whiskey so far, or the best Crown Royal so far. There are still a lot of Canadian whiskies to taste. Well, thank you for watching. Stay tuned, and as always, give your comments to this bottle on our whiskey database on Whisky.com.